being a confidant for people and providing a support and a sounding board for them is something that really gets me out of bed. I love it. Hi, I'm Christina Gulliver, Principal at Brentnalls SA. Join us on Accountants on Purpose podcast.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bartholomew's from uLegal. The Accountants on Purpose podcast showcases inspiring accountants who are leaders in their field.
And then it just came to me like a bolt of blue.
What makes them tick?
Love it.
How did they get to where they are?
I want to inspire.
And what do they do now for their teams, their clients, and the world? What inspires you to get out of bed in the morning?
I am very much not a morning person. So aside from coffee and my children coming in and jumping on me and asking me to make them breakfast, professionally, I feel very inspired by what I do every day. I really enjoy solving problems for clients and for our team. And I think that being a business owner can be very lonely, and being a confidant for people and providing a support and a sounding board for them is something that really gets me out of bed. I love it. And helping them to sort of remove roadblocks. I think I never ever thought I would be an accountant, but now that I am an accountant, I can't imagine being anything else.
Oh, that's a nice place to be at this point in your career. What's your favourite food at your favourite restaurant?
Don't have a favourite food. Don't have a favourite restaurant.
Really? Just like to eat everything?
I'm very much a seasonal eater. So in winter, I love slow-cooked, hearty meals and red wine by a fire up in the Adelaide Hills. And in summer, I love eating salads outside with a glass of white wine. So I hate anything that comes from the sea.
Oh, really?
So definitely won't find me at a seafood restaurant.
Okay, I'll remember that. I just got back from KL and I love tropical fruit.
Okay.
I'm all about rambutans. Do you know what they are?
No.
You can buy them at the central markets. They're amazing. They're these furry fruits and just general tropical fruit. Never really thought about it before. Is there a word that no matter how hard you try, you cannot spell correctly?
Restaurant.
Really?
Puts a U in the wrong place.
Yeah, and mine's entrepreneur.
Okay.
It's like another one that's got U's in odd places. You're a principal of Brentnalls SA. What would you say has been the most challenging part of your role so far?
The most challenging part, I think, would be balancing non-chargeable and chargeable work. So by non-chargeable, I mean doing presentations and seminars and workshops, having meetings with referral networks and potential clients, and then at the same time making sure that we're servicing our current clients 110%, and also being able to support the team when we're not in the office. So I think really balancing all of that and trying to keep everything up in the air is quite challenging. I also find presenting to large groups of people quite difficult.
Do you? I remember you appearing on the main stage at the Business for Doctors conference, and there would have been, 300 people in the audience.
I have a story about that one.
Do you?
So with that, I had set up in a side room where I was told I was presenting, and I was expecting about 50 or 60 people. So I had my slideshow up, I was all ready to go. And I was watching the keynote speaker and someone came up to me and told me that I had been changed to the main ballroom straight after the keynote speaker. And it was my first conference presentation.
What?
And luckily I'd just watched a TED Talk on how to overcome nerves. So I took myself off to the bathroom and did some power poses and got myself together, and then came back and managed to deliver my message. And although it was challenging, it was really rewarding.
Yes.
And great once I'd done it. But yes,
and then I think you got mobbed with questions afterwards that people didn't want to ask in front of the group, which often happens when people don't want to share their private financial information in front of a whole bunch of their peers.
Definitely. Yeah. So we had a lot of people coming up to us after the presentation, but yeah, certainly the more I'm doing those sorts of presentations, the easier it's getting. But that was certainly, I think anything in comparison to that with sort of 5 minutes notice.
The shock value. Who has played a pivotal role in your life and why?
The person that's played the most pivotal role in my life would have to be a little girl called Aluka. So She is the daughter of two of my best friends, and she passed away in an accident when she was 16 months old at their home. And I have her to thank for a complete shift in my view of life and of family, and I don't think I'd be half the mother that I am today without her. And she also helped me to realise how many people go through so many difficult situations and to have a lot better understanding of that. And yeah, no, she was amazing for me. So
That's a horrible story though.
it's very sad, very sad.
Now, you've been the honorary treasurer of the board of the Spence Club in South Australia. You say that it provides a unique network offering for high-achieving young South Australian women and South Australian expats as well. Tell me more about that experience and what you feel you learned from it.
So being on the board of Spence, I think, has given me exposure to a whole heap of people that I otherwise wouldn't have connected with. I think a lot of the networking events for accountants are very much with other accountants and lawyers, and it's so important to get outside of that group. So with Spence Club, and particularly on the board, I've been able to connect with people in the public service where otherwise I wouldn't have worked with them at all, and seeing how they approach situations differently and have a different perspective on certain issues and governance, etc. So I think that's been a really good learning opportunity for me. And comparing being on a board to just being a member of one of those groups, I think being on the board, although it involves a lot of work, you develop really deep relationships with the people that you're working close with on the board.
Yeah.
And it's well and truly worth it. Working with not-for-profits, particularly if I can just refer to an example with a community childcare centre. After working with for-profit businesses for my entire career, looking at things from a different perspective, instead of looking at how we can increase income and reduce costs and improve profit, approaching things more with, trying to maximise the delivery of, high value services and quality education and care, and remaining within budget. It's a total shift away and a total mindset shift that I think is a really valuable learning tool for people to be involved in those not-for-profit organisations and working within really small budgets to still try and achieve big outcomes.
Yeah, I have been a mentor for the Think Lab at the University of Adelaide, and it's the same sort of mindset. It's not a for-profit. We're not trying to make any money. We're volunteers as mentors. And we need to understand the objectives of the organisation to be able to help it, which for business people is a completely different frame of reference.
No, definitely. I completely agree with that.
So I was also almost a founding member of Spence. I think I missed the first event, and I found the events that the Spence Club ran early on, when I was going to every single one without fail, just incredible for the people that I would meet. And I think that they're an amazing group of women. So highly encourage young South Australian women to get involved. What is something you failed at in the past, but now you've completely mastered?
This is a real tough one. I don't think I've completely mastered anything, to be honest. I think I'm always learning and there's always room for improvement. I think as I've progressed through my career and I've been dealing with more and more people in terms of clients, in terms of team members, I've come to the realisation that there are just so many different personality types, and every person responds differently to perhaps the same set of facts or the same situation. And knowing how to approach particular situations and deliver things to different personality types and different people, I think is something that I have certainly failed at in the past, and is something that I'm really trying to focus on, to adapt to however would be the best way of delivering that particular set of facts or the situation to that person. So certainly not something I've mastered, but something I'm working on.
I can relate to that in that I think my negotiation approach has changed over the years. Like maybe early on I'd just go in really hard without understanding all of the facts around where we were trying to get to. And now I kind of try and take a much more holistic view to try and get to the best alternative for my client, and also if there's going to be a continuing relationship, then that's important for the other side as well, since I'm usually on the front end of negotiations rather than the litigation side. What can other accountants do to make a positive impact on their community through what they do?
I think there's an assumption out there that all of these community organisations and not-for-profits have got someone sitting in a treasurer role or in their board roles that is qualified to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time these people might just be a parent or someone that was already within the organisation that's been roped into that role that actually has no experience or background.
Have you heard the term voluntold?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, they voluntold into it.
So I think it's an amazing way for particularly accountants to give back to their community by volunteering for the local sporting clubs or kindies, childcare schools, any governing councils, and to be able to contribute their skills to the organisation and to provide a fresh set of eyes, particularly with the childcare that I volunteered on the board for. They hadn't had a treasurer with accounting or finance qualifications for over 10 years. So with me coming in, the appreciation that was shown for me having a look over things and being able to contribute and actually really caring and knowing, some of the issues they were facing really made a big difference. And even something small like being able to, perhaps restructure the way that a childcare might be working might result in, fees not having to be lifted the following year. And as a result, you might actually make quite a big impact on the community and the users of that childcare centre because, you're saving their hip pocket. So there's a whole, flow of effects from being a part of these organisations that perhaps people don't think about, and it really feels really good to be contributing in that way.
And especially if it's a community that means something to you already, then.
Definitely. And I think to be able to connect with those people and then be able to walk in and everyone says, oh, hi, how you going? And I think everyone really values, particularly where it's volunteer positions, they really value contribution.
Do you have a mantra or quote that you believe in?
I don't, but I am a big believer of positive thinking, visualization and manifestation. And I really do spend quite a bit of time visualizing my goals and where I want to be in the future and visualizing achieving them. And it's a bit of a running joke around my friends and family, but it's just something that I've always felt works for me. Although, visualizing the lottery's never quite come to fruition, but I'll keep trying with that one.
So when do you do that in your day?
Probably not during the day. I'd say more so at nighttime.
Yes.
I would like to say I would do it in the morning, but I just never seem to have time with the craziness of mornings, getting kids ready and getting ready for work. And I certainly don't do it all the time, but particularly if there's something that I'm really wanting to happen or a particular outcome, I'll try and focus on it and hopefully make it happen.
What's the most exciting thing that's happened this year, and do you have any plans to top it?
Pretty exciting moment for me this year was when my 5-year-old daughter took off her trainer wheels and rode her bike first time.
Wow.
So I was very impressed with that.
Did you have to run around the park holding the back of the... She just
took off and did it. It was very exciting.
That is exciting.
It's my 15-year anniversary next week, so plan to top it is to get to 16 next year.
That's a good one.
Aside from that, did a road trip down the East Coast in March. So started up at Noosa and went the whole way down to Bateman's Bay.
Oh, wow.
And with my husband and children, and it was just fantastic. And there was so many parts of the New South Wales coast that I was so pleasantly surprised by how beautiful it was.
Yeah.
That would probably be most exciting thing. I guess topping it might be doing a road trip around New Zealand.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Depending on the time of year.
Yes, maybe not in the snow.
Maybe not in the snow. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that I should have asked?
I don't think so.
What would you say to 18-year-old Christina?
You are not going to be a lawyer.
Smart.
Started doing law and then pulled out of law and decided to do accounting.
Oh, wow.
It definitely wasn't for me, but I thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably tell myself to slow down a bit and take a step back and enjoy the ride a little bit more. I think I went into things really full on and felt like I had to make decisions straight away about the rest of my life. And I think actually just having a go at accounting, which wasn't what I was intending to do, has led me down a path that I'm really happy with. And like I said, I can't imagine doing anything different. But it certainly wasn't the way that I was headed. And so I think my advice to myself would be just to take the time and have a go at some different things to find out what you really enjoy in life. So
thanks for coming in.
No worries.
Thanks for tuning in to the podcast today. If you're still listening, you can find the show notes on our website, ulegal.com.au. You're welcome to go ahead and subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with anyone that you think might benefit from it, anyone that you think is open to helping us create a world with a purpose that's higher than profit. If you're an accountant on purpose, feel free to find our Facebook page and join our community.